not been able to find an overlap between this individual, Matthew Leibelsberger, to the individual in New Orleans that carried out the attack out there. We understand that they also may have served in Afghanistan, but it was not at the same time. That they were overseas, but not at the same time. So that is what we're learning. The latest coming down from the U.S. Army just moments ago.
Yeah, there are some similarities, though, but I want to get to that later. Can you walk us through how police believe the
Hey,
attack
I'm
was
on here
actually
again,
carried out?
and this is more about the
Yeah. So what happened? We're told that the truck was rented on the Turo app out
the
of
New
Colorado, and then
Year's
eventually license plate
Day
readers here in Las Vegas picked it up around
tragedy,
7:30 yesterday
and they're trying
morning.
to
It was
see if
driving up and
this
down
somehow
the
is in
famed
connection
strip
with it.
here, and then eventually about an
Notice
hour
that
later
the
it pulled
Tesla
into the Valley area
Cybertruck
here in
had
front of the National
explosives
Hotel.
or
It was in that Valley area
fireworks,
for about
and it was
15
rented, and it
seconds.
was
The
rented from the
vehicle was
same
already
place that
smoking
the
when it
truck
pulled
was
up, and
rented
then next thing you
that
know,
was
it
involved in
exploded.
the tragedy.
Embedded the truck. They were able to find some gas tanks. They found those camp fuel canisters as well as the large fireworks mortars. The big question here now is how did all of those devices go off at the same time? What was the mechanism that triggered it all? And that's what they're trying to figure out, and also what the motive was for him to detonate this in front of the hotel.
Yeah,
It's,
and
it's
Andres, we know that authorities are
seems it
looking
keeps
into
getting worse and
maybe
worse
a
and worse.
possible link here to the deadly New Orleans attack, but that hasn't been confirmed. But there are some similarities, like they both served, these two attackers both served in the military, and both trucks were rented from the same company. Can you go over some more of the similarities between these two?
Yeah, so both of them used the Turo app. The Turo app said that they obviously send their condolences to the victims in both these incidents at this point, but there was nothing that would have flagged their criminal background that would have prevented them from being on the app in the first place. So they're still that's what Turo had to say regarding the incident. And then both of these individuals did eventually get these electric vehicles, a Cybertruck, a 2024, and then you had the Ford Lightning truck that was used in the attack in New Orleans. So both of these electric vehicles that were used in the attacks, we don't know what the coincidence. They're just coincidences. We don't know if there was a nefarious reason for them to go with these particular vehicles to be using these attacks.
All right, CBS News reporter Andres Gutierrez live for us in Las Vegas. Thank you so much, Andres. Let's go now to New Orleans and more on that truck attack. There's with CBS News national reporter Katie Weiss. She
This
joins
is
us now
what's
from New
been
Orleans. Katie, the man the FBI
the
identified
main
as
focus
the
on the
attacker was
news
killed in the shootout with
all
police.
morning,
What do we know
Thursday
about his
morning, on the
background, and
second day
why is
of
the FBI investigating this as
2025.
a possible
It's
terror?
just sad. And that number of 10 went
Well,
up to
we know that
15
when
of
the
people
attacker
who
drove through
were
the French
killed
Quarter
in
here
that tragedy
from Canal Street into the French Quarter
on
down
Bourbon
Bourbon Street,
Street
that
in
attacker
New
did
Orleans.
have an ISIS flag flying on the back of that pickup truck that he used to
Now
carry
they show
out
his
the attack,
face.
allegedly. And so that's something that investigators are going
Wow.
to take a closer look at to see what kind of religious motive might have been there, what kind of extremist motives might have been in place as well. Also, investigators are looking for more information about potential accomplices that may have worked with this suspect to carry out this attack. So certainly a lot of information, though, is still very fluid. Investigators are hesitant to give us too much information at this hour. They're very insistent that they don't want to infringe on the investigation and making sure
They're
they
still investigating it. So
played a
in the
part.
beginning,
We're
it
going to learn
looked
more
as though
information soon.
that I was under the impression that maybe it was one person involved, but it has upgraded to possibly more other people could be
inside of
involved.
that truck. And now another discovery in the French Quarter is prompting a search for possible accomplices. Here's what the Louisiana Attorney General told CBS News today. Take a listen.
We do believe that there are multiple people that were involved in working with the driver of the vehicle. So again, I think that with that information still unknown, the locations.
So there might be others out there.
I think there's just a lot of outstanding questions, and there are still thousands of people.
I'm going to be honest. I feel like it has all to do with Trump with
the
that
timing,
immigration
placement of IDs.
and
There's been
trying to
a
do
house
away with
fire
birthright
early
citizenship and
morning, but
immigration, the
later
way
than
he talks
the
about it
timing
is so
that we had
vitriol.
at 3 in the
And I
morning.
think it's
And
got
so,
a lot of
you know, we
people
have good reason to
angry,
believe that there are
and
multiple people that are
there's a lot of
involved.
layers to this,
A
but
lot to
I
unpack here.
feel
Katie,
like
let's
it
start
has a
with those
lot to
IDs.
do
What more do we
with
know about those
Trump and
devices?
Elon, and there's a lot of anger
Well,
out
I
there
actually
right
was able
now
to interview one-on-one the police superintendent
because
here in New
of Trump
Orleans,
being
this
reelected.
morning, and she was able to explain that the city's comprehensive security camera system that has recently
And
been put in place
I feel like
up here
more
in the first
resistance
quarter was very
and
instrumental in
revolt
locating those
and
additional
tragedies
IDs that were in the
are
French border. So
going to
certainly,
happen
a sign
because
of
of all
relief
of
there
this.
that things didn't turn out
And this is
more
just the
deadly than
beginning.
potentially they could have been.
Unfortunately,
And
this
Katie,
is
the attacker
just the
actually
beginning.
drove around a police blockade before speeding into that crowd of pedestrians. We know the city's about to host the Sugar Bowl matchup just in a couple of hours here, drawing in thousands of people to the city.
So what do you think? Do you think that they should host the Sugar Bowl? They say they're going to go ahead. They postponed it for like 24 hours. So
sand trucks, garbage trucks. So that's the heavier equipment I'm referencing to harden the target. So we know Bourbon Street is a target, and we knew our bollards were not working. So we used patrol cars, but we're going to now have heavier equipment.
Yeah, she mentioned the bollards not working. What can you tell us about what those are, and are they planning to reopen Bourbon Street?
And earlier they showed the victims that were killed.
So bollards are these types of metal barriers that come up through the ground, and if they're malfunctioning or not coming up properly, sometimes they're just kept down instead. And so that's something at this time when this attack took place, we know those bollards were not properly working. However, there were other barriers in place. In fact, city officials told me that at the time of the attack, there was a police car that was blocking some of the, a way of other cars to get in. Regardless, this suspect still went around and drove on the sidewalk to make their way through and run through the crowd. So when there's a will, there's a way. And that's something that the superintendent of police really stressed this morning is that, frankly, this person was hell-bent on committing a terror attack and found their way around. In the meantime, you heard her talk about garbage trucks, sand trucks. Those are more unconventional devices you wouldn't think for security measures, but in this case, they're going to be blocking off any kind of vehicle access to the border by simply parking those kinds of big trucks in the way. Yeah, we're hearing thousands of people are coming to that city for the big football game today, and they're going to have law enforcement from all different agencies.
It's going to be on high alert, I'm sure.
CBS News national reporter Katie Weiss. Thanks so much, Katie. Well, we're learning more about the suspect's background while authorities swarm his last known address in Texas. Executive editor of CBS News confirmed Rona Tarrant joins us now. Rona, what can you tell us about the SWAT search in that Houston neighborhood?
Well, we know authorities announced this search.
So they went to the guy's
morning,
house in
and
Texas,
they essentially said a few
and
I wouldn't say too much now. First of all, they said they knew of no threat in the area at the time.
you
And
can
they said
see
they
here
had
how
several
they
clues
are
to that
trying to
result
go in there and
watching,
uncover
but also
where he
counterintelligence,
lives.
Officials as well. And what they're going to be looking for at that address is any additional information that might give some insight into, number one, how Jabbar planned this attack. Number two, was there anyone else involved? Can they identify those people? And number three, anything around the ideology of this. Now, we've heard officials saying they believe there was potentially an ISIS ideology behind this, that he may have been inspired by the group. So that search was conducted over several hours. That was concluded. And we're hoping that we might get more information at that press conference in the next hour.
And Rona, there's some new evidence that the suspect was dealing with some major financial issues. I know that you reviewed some court documents. What did you find?
That's right. So authorities are going to be trying to piece together what happened in this man's life over the last number of years that caused him to do this heinous act. Now, we've been going through court filings, and he was divorced 3 times over the last 13 years. And his most recent divorce, which was finalized in 2022, really gives an insight into his life over the last few years. and it points to both personal difficulties and financial difficulties. So during this divorce, Jabbar had one child with his third wife, and his wife at the time actually filed a restraining order against him. So he was prohibited from making threats.
Now, we also know from these filings that Jabbar actually worked for Deloitte. Now, Deloitte said in a statement that he had worked there since 2021. He submitted a pay stub where it showed that he was making around $125,000 a year. But in the filings, he said that his expenses monthly were exceeding his income. Now, he listed a few things. For example, child support payments for 2 children that he had from a previous marriage. He also listed around $40,000 in credit card debt, and he said that essentially that he could not keep up with the payments. Now, his wife at the
Wow.
time also alleged financial mismanagement. So had said that he had taken out excessive cash withdrawals, that he had, for example, bought gifts for other lovers. And those are things that
Wow.
she leveled in that divorce. So we know that it was back and forth for about 2 years. He said in it that he had financial difficulties, but really from 2022 up until the present point, that's what we're really looking into. So it seems those financial difficulties were a major factor over the last number of years.
And Rona, before we go, we want to talk about that app called Turo. It was used to rent the truck used in the New Orleans attack, as well as the cyber truck that exploded in Las Vegas. The FBI still investigated whether there's a possible link between both incidents, but what can you tell us about the Turo app?
So it's interesting.
I didn't
It's
even know
basically
about
an
the
app that's
Turo
almost like
app,
Airbnb,
is
but
what
for
they're
cars.
talking
It's
about.
peer-to-peer car rental. So essentially, you can go on the app and you can rent a car from another person. Now, I was just looking at filings for the
You can
company.
rent a
As
car
of
from
September
another person?
2024, they
That's
said that they had
new.
around 3.5 million active users. So a fairly popular app. Now, we know from the New Orleans attack.
I guess I'm
the man who
behind the
rented his car to
times.
Jabbar
I've
actually
never done that.
recognized
You rent a car
the
from
news.
another
And
person.
he said obviously he had no
That's
idea that this attack was
crazy.
going to be carried out. Now, several hours later in New Orleans or in Vegas, officials were
Wow, you can
where they
see
said
it going
also
up in
that
flames.
that Cybertruck was also rented from the Turo app. Now, at the
That's
time,
what
they
they
said
were
the
saying. They're
coincidence,
both
they were
rented
looking
from the
into
same
international
app.
connections, but that's actually not clear at the moment. As I said, 3.5 million people using the app. It's peer-to-peer. It's pretty popular. So right now, we don't know if there are any connections.
All right, we'll wait to see more information on that. Executive editor of CBS News confirmed, Rona Tarrant. Thank you so much, Rona. Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump responded to that attack on social media before a suspect was named. He said in part, quote, "Our hearts are with all of the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department." The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil. News political reporter Libby Cathy breaks this down for us from West Palm Beach, Florida. Libby, what else are we hearing from the president-elect about that tragedy that unfolded in New Orleans?
Liz, President-elect Donald Trump also taking this as a chance to attack President Joe Biden and the Biden administration.
Of course.
Blaming Biden and what he calls Biden's open border policy for these incidents.
So this is also becoming a talking point in Trump's rhetoric. I knew it was coming because of the man's background history.
Military even, but Trump has been offering some reaction on Truth Social. Unlike President Joe Biden, who did speak to the American people last night, we have not heard publicly from President-elect Trump.
Wow.
We are here in West
And
Palm Beach, should he decide to speak today, but really painting this or taking this as a chance to attack Biden.
so you hear that he's attacking the Biden administration. So let me tell you what is really sad. I heard, now this was yesterday, I was just on, I guess, YouTube, and I was looking at a couple of people's videos, and this one YouTuber was saying there was a African American woman who I believe, I didn't get her name, so she was actually, I I don't know if she's the DA general. I believe that's what she is. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Well, she actually was announcing with other officials and authorities of Louisiana about the horrible tragedy that took place on New Year's Day. And racist people who are part of this MAGA clan are these people who have, I would assume, elected Trump in office, couldn't wait to attack the woman's racial background, saying that she's a DEI hire. And why did they pick a DEI hire to speak on the tragedy? It's so sad. And then there was another woman who you seen earlier. She had glasses on. She was talking in the background. They said nothing about her because she's white. But when the black woman spoke about what the FBI was doing, the investigation, and all of the things that are happening, these racist individuals, I guess, who are following the tragedy, they're looking at the news and they're looking at the incidents, couldn't wait to attack the black speaker simply because of her racial background and makeup. And it was so sad. So this has been on the news all morning. It's unfortunate. There's been other things on the news also, so it's not just that, but now they're switching it back. You can see one of the women on the where I'm standing, it would be to my left. She has the white shirt on and the glasses. She looks older. And there was a black woman yesterday that was speaking, and they attacked her on all levels on social media. It was really sad. And it was like it's almost like they were blaming her. Like, what did she do? She didn't do anything. She wasn't involved in it. She's just giving you information and facts about what their investigation is. That's all she's doing. She's doing her job. But though the other individuals, you see, they didn't say anything about them. Of course, you know why. So it's unfortunate that people pick a tragedy to include their racist rhetoric. And that's what's sad. And that's, who these people are. And that's what makes this really scary because Trump's not even sworn in, and already there is something going on that points to their regime that is about to take place. I was telling you in previous videos in the past, people, on Twitter were so nasty. Elon, what he was doing on Twitter, he had when I had an account on Twitter, I closed it. I had it for a while, and I would, send some of my videos over there. I would speak on issues, and I was very blunt and very unfiltered. And some people were, not everybody's going to agree with everything people say, and I'm full aware of that, and that's okay. But what I noticed that Elon was doing is he was he had doubled my account. He had made another fake account of me and made it look like it was automated, and people thought it was like a bot account. And so he was manipulating my account. Now, I don't know if anybody else has had that problem on Twitter, but Elon manipulated my account and he made it look like I had two different accounts. And then people were confused because one account, there was no really, I didn't really say very much on there. I noticed it was there, and some of the things that I would try to send over to the main account that I had would filter over to this account that he had opened up. And it was so confusing. So things that I wanted to say, I couldn't say, or I had to look and switch accounts to see which one, where my information went. It was crazy. So I finally got tired of it. And then he had opened up all of the braces, all of the fastest people were on Twitter. They're on Twitter as of current. anybody that agrees with MAGA, anybody that agrees with all of the misogyny, all of the hate and the vitriol and the racism that you could think of are on Twitter, which is now X, and Elon runs it. And I noticed during the election time, he was putting up a lot of videos, and a lot of people were on there saying, vote the couch, basically, don't vote. There was a lot of people that were encouraging black people not to vote. There was also a lot of accounts that were on there that you seen that were really racist. There are also a lot of things that he was saying about Kamala not being black. So I don't know. I'm gonna pan over, and I don't know if you see the African American woman in the background. She's sort of behind a male. She was speaking. You can barely see her. The camera is not really on her because they're on this one guy, and he's still talking about um I guess, well, one might be, they say now it's 14 people, at least 14 people killed. So we're looking at it in real time. So I'm going to try to get close up. Do you see this African American woman right here? That's the one who was speaking, and they were attacking her on all levels. And they're basically, what they're doing is probably giving an update on what they're trying to do to mitigate this whole situation. This guy was speaking yesterday, and they have been all over TV, social media about this tragedy. It's so crazy because people were probably just having a great time. They were going to the restaurant. They probably wanted to see a show, have a drink, be with friends, family, enjoy their holiday. Some people have to come back to work, next week. They probably were totally unaware that that was their last holiday, their last time here on earth. So, guys, you got to really think about, outside of all the crazy politics and the craziness that's going on, that life is very unpredictable and short. We never know what could happen. Every moment counts. And now that we're in this climate of hatred, which it's not like it hasn't been here before, but now it's even magnified. I feel like when Trump was in his first term in 2020, when it was crazy. It was crazy. He just brings out and emboldens all of the people who are misogynist, who are hateful, who are racist, who feel emboldened to just come out and overtly spew their hate on everyone. And I'm even hearing that the cabinet picks, they weren't really good. That he picked, some of the people have checkered past, that they're very sketchy. One had pressure. I think it was Matt Gaetz. He had pressure to resign because he had a history where he was involved in a sexual assault against a minor. There's all kinds of craziness. And, you know, that whole pick of Trump, it just spells nothing but trouble for me. And I don't know about other people. They feel like he's going to do something to fix the economy, but I feel like Trump is going to make the economy a lot worse. I feel like he's in line with the wealthy and cutting taxes for wealthy individuals and himself, and getting himself pardoned from all of those convictions that he had, the 34 convictions, trying to get his court cases, uh, erased, or set so far back that he doesn't even have to be seen, or he doesn't have to be held accountable for his actions. I feel like we're under a regime of hell, pure hell. And I believe when he says these things about immigration, I'm not saying that people should come here illegal, but the way he delivers his speeches, and see, you can't say anything on X. You can't voice your real opinions on X because racist people come up there and they say, "Oh, you're a bot. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." And they flip everything. Just like Trump, he's trying to flip, where people were African American people. There were a group, it was called Black Twitter, where a lot of African American people were talking about speaking on politics. And when you speak on politics, the issues, all of the issues come up about, incidences that have happened in America and even outside of America, and reparations comes up. So there were discussions about reparations, and there were videos with Trump saying that white people need to get reparations. He flips all of the hate that has been spewed to black people. He flips it and turns it into, no, whites have been victimized. Whites are the ones that deserve reparations. White people need reparations. Even though they hold most of the wealth in America, in their households, there's a larger percentage of white families that are more secure financially than there are black families. And so a lot of times when you get on those social media sites, you'll have racist people. They'll say, oh, they'll cherry pick. They'll say, oh, give us the facts, give us percentages. And they do that because it's to deflect from their guilty conscience, knowing that they have a good pension plan, have a good retirement plan, they have something to fall back on in case family members die. You also have to pay for burial expenses and whatnot. For family, there are some black people who don't even have money to retire on. They don't have burial expenses saved up. And so some people don't even think about that. They're just trying to live week per week or check by check. And there are other people of other races that maybe not white and not black are in the same boat as black folks, where they don't, poor white people as well. It seems like it's also an issue of classism. And I'm going to say this, it's like rich versus poor. So it's racism in there, it's misogyny in there, it's about people's nationality, about where your status, class, and money. And so you can't say anything on X because people jump all over and jump down your throat. They don't want to listen to what you have to say. They want to right away say, oh, you're racist because you're talking about black people. Well, guess what? I'm black. So I'm going to talk about politics in the politics of black community because it is something that I'm going through. It is something of who I am and what I've experienced. And I've had a set of experiences just like anyone else. So I'm going to reflect on those. I'm going to project on that and speak on it. So to say, because I'm speaking on an opinion or something that I've had a personal experience with, doesn't mean that I'm racist. It means that I'm blunt and I'm honest and I'm basically delivering what I've had a personal experience with. That doesn't mean that I'm racist. Now, what I'm saying is there are some situations where people have had a set of experiences, and I realize that they don't feel comfortable around certain people or have a distrust. And I have family members, honestly, that they might have prejudices about other individuals because of a lack of exposure or either having a set of experiences that were not not good. And there are other people in the world who've had similar, and it's the same. I know there are some people, maybe they grew up and they were taught certain things. I might have had some experiences, but I think my experiences are a little bit different because I I also caught heat from other Black people when I said not all white people are racist. I will say this. I feel that there's this indifference in the white community. I'm not giving everyone a pass. I'm not saying that white people shouldn't be held accountable for being silent, if you get what I'm saying with that. But however, I don't feel every single white person out there is hateful to the extent that they just totally hate other people. There might be, we have our differences as well, guys. And it's like you gotta be in reality of what's going on. My thing is I feel there's this regime, and even in that Trump administration, not all those people get along. So you got your capitalist and their race is in a different sense having to do with wealth and classism. And then you got your just ignorant racist who it isn't about money, it's just about race and background and gender and all of that, and there's different, how would you say it? There's different kinds of races, different types of races. Then you got your silent races. They don't hurt you physically, but it's emotionally with the indifference. I get it, guys. I know there are white people out there who they may not be physically abusive, but it's what they do behind closed doors, maybe what they say, their train of thought, their thinking. They could be working in really great high positions. They could be the master and fate of your employment. They might be your boss. And just because they don't hit you or they don't chain you up or they don't get you locked up, they could get you fired. And then they might could get you locked up. So that's another thing. There are people they know how to lie, they know how to manipulate, they know how to buck the system so it works in their favor based on race. I get it. But I don't think every single individual looks to do that. However, what's sad is that even poor people that are white felt, some of those men felt like, oh, if we vote for Trump, he's going to fix the economy. But I've been hearing a lot of people who are in the agriculture sector, the agricultural sector, that are farmers, white farmers, saying that he's going to destroy my business and I shouldn't have voted for him. Some say they still stand behind him, and I believe this is why they stand behind him, because of being white. Their whole ideology is saving white America, and that's where the Make America Great Again comes in at. I believe that's where it comes in at. And so this is really sad. So you see them, officials give an update on the New Orleans terror attack that killed at least 14. So it's upgraded from 10 to 14. So it was saying 15. So there might be one. They said there were a lot of people, and these were the lot of people, I guess, who were uh-oh. Suspect posted online videos proclaiming support for ISIS. So that's new. I had to stop and say that. But it said 15. So there might be one on life support or in critical condition. Because they did say there were some people that were in critical condition. There were 35 that were injured. So this is really sad. And this is the whole new start of 2025, guys. But yeah, it's like, it's so sad. It is so sad. And, you know, I'll be honest, I'm all for reparations for Black people. I'm all for Black empowerment and women's empowerment, Black women's empowerment. I'm all for people having peace. I'm all for people of different backgrounds getting to know one another and to try to find peace or a level of healing. I feel like if we talk about racial issues, that'll bring people together more on issues and we can learn about each other's cultures. But you have a certain groups of people who continue to do this harm to one another, and it doesn't cause anyone to win. Nobody wins in this. Trump, he's reelected. I feel like that was a really bad decision because already the start of the new year has caused this. And I feel like, really, if you want to look at it indirectly, his rhetoric is the cause for a lot of this. His rhetoric is going to bring on more of these types of tragedies. That's where I'm coming from. When I was on X, people were like they had friended or followed me and then they unfollowed me. I didn't even care anymore. I deleted myself because it was so crazy and I was very blunt. And then two, I started learning about the Jewish population. If you say anything about Jewish people's history, anything you have any opinion on it, people jump all down your throat. But if you say anything about black people or anything, if it's negative, nobody says anything. They're okay with people saying negative things about black people. But if you say something that anyway utters anything that might be something that to those people that are on X that sounds like it could be against a Jewish belief or a custom or a tradition, people right away jump down your throat and they have all this horrible stuff to say. Notice you have to worship white people. You have to go to white people's churches. You have to believe in a white Jesus. You have to basically bow down to white people. Patriotism, I feel, is white. I feel like all of that is not a reflection of who America really should be. And that's where I'm coming from. But you can't say any of that on X because right away, you don't like Jews, you don't like that's not true. That's not true. I don't want to say I have Jewish friends because I then it sounds like I'm saying how the white racists say, I have black friends, but they don't have any friends. But I'm not against people. I'm against lies. When people make up stories, like I feel like Jewish people should be held accountable for some of their actions as well. They're not model my well, at one while they used to be minority group and they still kind of are, but they kind of blend in with the full of white people and I feel like, you know, they have a past that is questionable as well. So everybody always looks at the Jewish Holocaust. They always lift that up, but they never want to look at the Black Holocaust that's still actually really going on today. And I think it's unfair. I find it to be unfair that everybody wants to focus on Jewish hate. Oh, we got to protect the Jews. Just because I'm saying that doesn't mean I'm saying don't don't like Jewish people. It just means that if you're gonna be about protecting Jewish people, you should do the same thing with other people as well. How come you don't focus also on the hate, the anti-black hate? Nobody wants to talk about that. And it goes on so much on X. It goes on so much on social media sites. There are so many hate sites up. And then you have these black people who have an identity crisis, like Candace Owens, Byron Donalds, and then you have Mark Robinson, who calls himself the Black Nazi. He was on like some kind of pornographic site. You have all of these individuals. You had Tim Scott, who's a bootlicker. I'm not discounting that. There you have black agents that are on these sites and they're in the White House and you don't see any of them as cabinet picks for Donald Trump's group and collective on a think tank. You don't see any of those individuals, but look at what we are looking at right now. 2 IEDs found in area around Bourbon Street. And I'm showing this as I'm talking, guys, because this is not the first incident and the last incident that we're going to see. The first one was the CEO killing, remember? And they locked that guy away. And I said it even then. I said, this is not going to be the first and the last either. And it won't be the second and the last. We're going to see a lot of this unfold in the presidency of Trump. And you know what? He's supposed to be sworn in, I think, around the 20th of January. They need to have heavy presence there. And I'm saying this because I feel like people are going to be in danger if they attend that event, because there are going to be people that are going to want to do something to not only Trump but Elon. So they're sending a message. That Cybertruck, conveniently, all of a sudden they both rented the same vehicles by the same app, and there's a Cybertruck which is Elon's creation. It has explosives in the back and it's right in front of a Trump building. Go figure. Think about it, guys. It's about this presidency. It has all to do, I'm suspecting, in some of the motive of all of this, and that immigration rhetoric that he spews when he gets up there. So right now this woman is talking. I guess they're giving more information. They say currently they believe that the attacker acted alone because they're still trying to gather more information. And they know that people are on social media talking about all of these incidences that occurred because they're trying to squelch the fear. And let me tell you, this is the ugly truth also in all of this. Capitalism. They have an event coming up. Bourbon Street, the French Quarters, that area is touristy. They don't want to lose their money because they were suffering, those businesses were suffering during the pandemic. So they don't want to lose their businesses right now. They're losing money by those places being closed down because it is being treated now as a crime scene. So they want to open up business as soon as possible, especially ahead of the Sugar Bowl event. So be aware, guys. They don't want to stop as young people say it, they don't want to stop their bag, if you get what I'm saying. They don't want to stop their money from flowing. And I get it. But at the expense of people's lives, we're more concerned about money rather than people's livelihood. Get out of here. Get out of here. And so that is, I feel like, where they come with this. Oh, yesterday they had some guy. It was hilarious. Some of the stuff he was saying. Well, you don't want to drink, you don't want to do drugs, you don't want to look at the news all day, and you don't want to look at what happened because this looks bad, and it's gonna get in your head and it's gonna make you scared and you'll be scared and we're resilient and we're gonna go back out there. But see, what he's not really saying is that we don't want to lose our money. And we're already losing money. That's really, see, you got to read between the lines, guys. What he's really saying is New Orleans, we have lost a lot of money. We've lost money through natural disasters. Some people still haven't recovered from the Hurricane Katrina as far back as then. Hearing some people were still in makeshift tents and prefabs, or what you call, not even prefabs, but they're like trailer homes. And then there's this great loss of money. And now what they're trying to do is bring money into the community again. So when these tragedies like this happen, you had the pandemic, and now these people are losing money, big money, just by closing these stores. Nobody can, right when it's a crime scene, nobody can go in, they can't buy anything, they can't, probably some of the people who work in those businesses, they can't even work. So they're not making money. They can't pay their bills, and maybe it stopped them from working, or maybe they can work. They just can't have customers going in and out of there. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. And that's that shows you how we are really a slave to this capitalism. It's like if we don't have, some of us are living paycheck to paycheck. So that's the bigger picture here. Rich versus poor. So you got these poor people that are running their businesses and now they can't run their businesses because of this tragedy. Any little thing could stop it. But you have some people who don't have to go through this. They're the ones that are talking about voting. They voted for Trump and he's going to fix the economy. They're living, you got this small group of individuals who are elites who have money, and they don't have to worry if their business closed. Some of their business closed down. They got some money in the Camden Islands. They have money set aside. They have a pension, a great pension plan, or they have like some kind of retirement set aside. They have an insurance policy that's already set and in place. They have some money put up in a safety deposit box. They have like a lot of resources. And then there's others who that little job they have is all the money they have. That paycheck every 2 weeks or every once a month, that's all that that person has. And so that's what we're really dealing with here. People who don't have benefits for healthcare. That's how come that CEO was killed. This right here, this is crazy, and you're going to see in real time more of these incidences are going to go down, and it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be based on money, race, and this regime that is about to be sworn in this month. You watch and see. This is going to be a reoccurrence. This is not the only incident we're going to face, and it's going to all be connected. There are more individuals out there like this guy. There are, and they are ready, and something bad, even worse than this, is going to happen because of who we got in office. That's why I don't like the fact that they elected him, because he brings these individuals out that maybe a little more, unhinged. And they are going to take it to a far extreme to get their point made. And you don't know what these people are going through, too. Everybody has issues, they have problems. And if it ties into these politics, you're going to hear about it. And unfortunately, we're hearing about this in the worst way. So, more of this is going to happen, I'm telling you. So, but anyway, this right here, it's just going to be on the news laced all week. We're going to see this. So I would say keep your ears open, keep your eyes open, be alert as to what's going to go on, because this is all tied to this. It says no ongoing threat to the public. See, they want you to know that, because they want to hurry up and open those business. They're getting pressure from the business owners and from the people who need to work there, because they don't have anything else. But Elon has a lot of money, doesn't he? He has money so you can drive those messed up cyber trucks and those messed up Teslas, and they get engulfed in flames as soon as they crash into something, because it's all electric. What he needs to be doing is working on recalling those vehicles and trying to figure out how to make them safer, because they're not safe to even ride in. I think they're a piece of crap. That's what I believe. And now other people I've been seeing, and really honestly, you see, and I'm going to say this, and I don't care who gets upset about it, because it's the truth. As Black people who really can't afford those vehicles, I'm seeing some of these people, they can't afford to even turn around twice in their apartment, yet they're riding around in a Tesla. Why? Why, Black people? Why are you riding around in a Tesla and you can't even afford to pay your rent?